Shalom. How's everyone doing this Friday afternoon, which is the preparation day of the 7-day Sabbath? For those who don't know me, my name is Mr. Andrew Williams. I'm also known as the Prophet of War. Today, I decided to make another video sharing my testimony, how I was homeless for 7 years straight in Phoenix, Arizona, especially living in Tempe, Arizona. I'm gonna try to keep this video as short as possible, but if not, please bear with me. In other words, be patient. This testimony is a two incident into one. The first part of this testimony is I was camping. Well, not camping because I lost my tent. At that time, my tent got destroyed because of the elements of the weather. The only thing I had was my sleeping bag, and which had a few large holes in it. And so it was during the fall season or the beginning of the fall season, and it started getting real cold. And that night, it went into a not really a deep freeze, but close to it. There was no snow, no icy rain, nothing like that. It was just freezing cold. And at the time, I didn't have enough money to get a hotel room, and so I had to sleep at Tempe Town Lake, out in the freezing cold, on the bench. And I was already cold. My body was cold to the bones. That's how cold it was. I didn't have no gloves, no jacket, just my sleeping bag. My sleeping bag. And when I went on Tempe Town Lake to sit on one of the benches by the lake to sleep, in prayer and meditation, I asked God, could He warm up my body, for I am freezing, which He did. That night, it was about 11 or 12 o'clock that night. I got to a Pacific area in Tempe Town Lake earlier than I usually do. I usually get there after 12 o'clock, somewhere between 12 to 2 o'clock in the morning. And that way there's no security around, especially around 2 o'clock. So, but I got on Tempe Town Lake around between 10 or 11, between 10 to 11 o'clock. And after I prayed for Aniyah to warm me up, like he did, warm my body up like he did when I first arrived at Flagstaff, Arizona, cross country on my trek road bike. And he did, the Lord Elohim did. While I was sitting on the bench in a meditation state, the Spirit of the Lord came upon me, warmed my whole body, like I was in a sauna, and I just went to sleep. So that's the first incident. So I woke up the next morning, about 7 o'clock, 7 to 7:30, in the morning, and then my body was still warm. And I would say like about an hour after I woke up the next morning, then my body started getting back cold because it was cold that morning. But from the time I went to sleep that night till waking up in the morning, it was a peaceful, calm sleep. No struggle, no nothing. I slept like I was in a hot blanket. That's the best way I could explain it. And then the second time it happened, I think it happened like a couple weeks later. Now that Pacific day or night, we went into a deep freeze. It was so cold that day and that night. Even on the weatherman, the news media was saying, you had to have everybody on the inside. If you know anybody sleeping out on the street, have them go to the shelter or bring them in, bring your plants in, bring your dogs in, the whole 9 yards. And I refused to go to the shelter because some people try to get me to go to the shelter. I refuse. I don't believe in going to the shelter for security reason. But nobody want to give me a hotel room or invited me to stay in their home. So I said, don't worry about it. Under Yah, my God, He going to protect me and take care of me during this life-threatening event. So instead of people thought, to finish the story, people thought I was just being crazy and delusional. Then I tell them, well, if I'm being so crazy and delusional, how can you explain, since y'all know me, not once I got sick or come down with a cold or came down with a disease, or not once not once I starving to death, or not once anything. But I've been facing a lot of life-threatening situation out here in these streets. So they couldn't say anything, because when I throw that in their face, it proved to them how real my God is. And so I just left them and just walked off. But instead of going to Tempe Town Lake, the voice of Yah whispered in my ear, go back up to the mountain that you was camping out at, and I will lead you by my spirit to sleep in an area is not as cold. And then my spirit will come upon you and warm you. So I went back to the mountain in Tempe, Arizona, when I first camped out. But instead of going up to that mountain, that exact mountain I went to another mountain next to it. It was lower to the ground, but it had cliffs around it. And then I noticed when the Holy Spirit led me to that mountain that had cliffs or walls around it, I noticed that the wind wasn't blowing as hard in that Pacific area. Then the Holy Spirit led me that way, as the voice of Yah once again whispered, this is where I want you to lay down and sleep, and I will protect you from the freezing cold. And that's what happened. I went to that mountain and find a good spot, clear all the debris and the pebbles and the stones out of the way, and then laid on my blanket. Not my blanket, but my sleeping bag. And at first it was still a little freezing cold, and so stuff like that. And then I laid on, as I laid there on my side, I prayed unto Yah my God, and where He warmed my body up, protect me from the cold weather so I would not get sick or anything like that. And that's what happened. And not even a minute, within a few seconds, the Holy Spirit came upon me, warmed my whole body like it was in a hot sauna. Because the wind, that cold breeze was blowing hard. You could hear the wind blowing. You could feel the cold air chiseling through your face or your skin. That's how cold it was. My fingers was numb and tight. You know, I could have got frostbite, but when the Spirit of the Lord came upon me to warm up my body, like I was in a hot blanket or in a sauna, my body got back to normal, like I was not sleeping in a cold weather. And it stayed like that until I woke up again in the morning. Because when I'm sleeping in the mountain, I wake up earlier, about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And because a lot of people like to walk on that mountain trail for exercise, and so stuff like that. But at that specific time, nobody didn't do that because it was freezing cold. So when I woke up early that morning, my body was still warm. So I got up, did my morning martial art exercise, internal exercise like Tai Chi Chuan and Qigong. And then after all that, I stayed up there in the mountain on that Pacific area, and it was still cold that morning, and so stuff like that. So I stayed up there till 11 or 12 o'clock that afternoon, and then I went to on ASU college campus at the food court. And then when I got to the food court, people they were very surprised and amazed that I was still alive. And I didn't have no frostbite. I wasn't even sniffing it at the nose. They were just amazed and surprised and stunned that I was still alive. Because when they saw me, I didn't look like I slept outside. My body was fresh and radiant. And then several of the students told me they heard on the news that a couple of homeless individuals died during the night because of the deep freeze we had in Phoenix, Arizona. They just froze to death, and they were surprised. They was amazed and surprised that I didn't froze to death, and they were just amazed and surprised. And then that's when they start saying, okay, because some of them did say, we starting to believe that your God is very real, because since we met you, you don't go through the same things that other people go through that is homeless, sleeping out on the streets. You keep your clothes up, you look very decent, your skin is not dirty, or there's no sign or indication that you are homeless or sleeping out on the street. So they was really surprised. But when I overcame that by the Spirit of the Lord, they was really surprised. And then they started asking me questions why I believe in Aniyah, my God, the way I do. And I tell them because anytime I face a life-threatening situation, my God is going to intervene. He's going to do something, and so stuff like that. And most of the time I don't know what it is, but according to my faith within Him, He's going to do something. So they didn't start believing in God, but they saying, well, okay, we know that your God is real for you. Then, so stuff like that. Then, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut that story or that testimony short, and also give the message that Aniyah want me to give you by His Holy Spirit, Kadosh Ruach. When I experienced sleeping in the freezing cold once again within that last year, or the 7th year being homeless, this morning the Holy Spirit reminded me, tell the people that when they have to flee to the mountain because of the mark of the beast, which is the Sunday law, when they flee to the mountain and they face all kinds of different elements and life-threatening danger, God going to protect them from all sicknesses, illnesses, and diseases, that no harm would be able to touch them. Only those who truly believe within Him and keep the commandments of Yah and have the testimony of His begotten Son, Yeshua Messiah. And so this is the main reason I'm sharing my testimony of being homeless. I'm not going to say it in this video, but I'm going to, I got one more video to make of my testimony. Then after that, I'll make that 7th video. Then I'm going to make an 8th video, give a clear indication why I had to be homeless, for 7 years straight. And so, but that's basically it. So I appreciate y'all stopping by to watch and to listen. And for those who keep the 7-day Sabbath, Shalom Shabbat, happy Sabbath. Y'all have a good and blessed day. Shalom.